Hey, it's David Sherry. I work with founders and CEOs of growing businesses, and I've done over 2,000 clarity sessions with CEOs and founders of million-dollar plus businesses. Today, I want to talk with you about how to thrive when your plans fall apart, be it in your career or your business. And I was catching up with a friend recently who had told me, unfortunately, that the job that they've been in that has been fulfilling and been productive over the past few years has taken a turn for the worse. Now it's the case that job may no longer exist in the next few months, which is pretty stressful to hear. And it gets the wheels turning as to what might happen. What am I going to do next? And the thing she told me was, if only I had more savings, then I could just take time off and really figure out how to make money without having this job. I wanted to take my own job security into my own hands. And she's been wondering for a long time if she should go out on her own to do her own thing, maybe preemptively before this role ends up changing, making that leap before it's a necessity. Now, it's a tough pill to swallow when things change, especially when they're outside of your control or they've been going really well. And what I wanted to talk with you today about is what to do when the plans change and how to adapt in a way that's going to make things significantly easier for you. We all have plans for what we think our life is going to be, and then suddenly there's a big wrench in our dream. And in a constantly changing world, this is really the norm. Much more exists outside of our control. The billions of people, the economy, all these factors going on all the time in the external world. It's really unlikely that we're going to be able to be in full control of our lives and our careers at any given time. So, what we must learn then is how to be creative and generate our own change in the world. We can be creative in not controlling the world around us, but instead giving up the need for control and instead of working with and adapting with the changes that are coming into our life by being more of a creator in our own life. And the way to do this is to simply trust the next right step. It's easy in these moments where things are being shaken up to try and think many steps down the road. The problem is if you think too far in the future, when you're in a moment of change, you're missing paying attention to what might be right in front of you. And instead of trying to control the world around us, we can look at what steps are currently available, almost like little lily pads. Yes, the pathway that I've been on has been shrinking or diminishing, and yet there's other pathways that are now opening up to me. And that's because the world we live in is abundant. It might be changing often, but that doesn't mean that change is all bad. New opportunities emerge where there weren't opportunities before. There's staggering amounts of things going on, people building things, economic changes, new technologies, and they always bring us new opportunity. So taking the next right step forward into change allows us to work with the moment we're in without the need for control. Each step can be a next moment of alignment to figure out, where am I going? What is the opportunity? And you'll find in this way that the world really does support you into what you're creating next or what you're doing next. And strangely, what I tend to see is that the moment you give up control and you get off that one path, a new path emerges. The world seems to always give us that next doorway, that next path forward. The trick is, can we be present enough to see the path that is just for you? And are you willing to make that step? Not be forced to make that step, but choose to make that step. And this brings me to a key idea that I communicate often in my coaching around abundance, which is the net is a foot down, but the ceiling is infinite. In our fears about change, we have this primal concern for our safety and our well-being. We immediately go to worst case scenarios. But if you're reading this post, I'm assuming you have access to some resources in the way that many do not, be it a social safety net, be it family, be it natural resources, be a skill set that you've acquired and been hard won through your learning, or maybe it's even just internet access. If this is the case, survival is likely, the basic food and shelter is likely, and our standard of living is actually significantly better than it was 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago. So, relatively speaking, we have more access, more information, more technology, and more resources. So, really, this is about thriving. When I say the net is just a foot down, but the ceiling is infinite, what I mean is that you might fall down, you might have a mistake happen, you might have a challenge spring up, but the upside and the opportunity for progress and growth is always uncapped. So, when realizing that asymmetry, we can be more brave in taking steps forward in our career, knowing that yes, there's a challenge today and I might take a step back, but there are always infinite more steps forward available to us. That's what this is really about. I want to talk about becoming a magnet for opportunity, for money, for expansion. Because of this changing world, because we're stepping into unknown opportunities, what happens is these opportunities open up that were unthinkable before. Look today at someone whose career is podcasting. They're getting paid to talk about topics that they want to talk about. Imagine trying to tell that to a kid, even in just the 60s or the 70s, and they're saying, I don't want to be a doctor, I want to be a YouTuber. Those opportunities didn't exist 40 years ago. And opportunities are emerging now that we can't even imagine, just like podcasting. So 10 years from now, there will be some opportunity that people are taking advantage of. And it's your opportunity to seek out what those might be. And the reason is there's no defined way to make money. There's no fixed way to make money. Making money is an infinite creative space. So trusting yourself as you step forward, as you gain momentum, you'll find ways to support yourself. You'll find ways to make money. You'll find new and creative possibilities for jobs. And when you gain momentum, you also get to interact with other people who are also on this journey of finding creative ways to develop their income, to develop their life in the ways that they are. So if you've ever paid an artist for their work simply because you appreciated the energy of what they were doing and you felt compelled to do, that was you helping somebody else on a similar path that is seeking what you are seeking. And they stepped into an uncertain future and were rewarded by it by you. So kudos for that, for you passing on some of that good energy. Now, with this friend that I was mentioning, I'm not telling them to quit or to find another job or really do anything in particular at all. I'm simply sharing that this fear of the net and not being caught, really, it's about seeing it as yes, there's some downside, but there's also infinite upside. And it's up to us to make a choice to step forward into the future despite the changes that are happening, to explore what path we might be on and how that can open up for possibility, opportunity, job opportunities, etc. This is emotionally difficult because of the fear baked in around loss. Yet the greatest loss of all is the loss of your fullest capacity and showing yourself what is possible. So if you have any stories or questions about being forced to do something that turned out to be a great thing, or you want to share a comment about being scared of this need for survival, feel free to leave it there. I'd love to chat with you and hear what you think. You can always like and subscribe for more videos like this. I'll be back again very soon. Later.